Welcome to Beyond Average, where we spotlight entrepreneurs who are building valuable, transferable enterprises by focusing on the four intangible capitals that drive growth in higher multiples. So I'm Kristin Carlson, and today's guest is Angie Simon, co-founder and president of HMSE, which is the Heavy Metal Summer Experience, and she's a peer group facilitator at Maxim Consulting Group. So Angie, thanks for joining us today, and we have so many questions. Like, what inspired you to start HMSE?
Well, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you having me here too. Thank you very much. My life was, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, by degree, I guess I'd say. And I started 1 year out of college at a mechanical contracting firm. So Western Allied Mechanical, and actually spent 35 years there. Grew up kind of at the company, learned project management. We designed and installed heating, ventilation, and air conditioning type projects in the Bay Area. And so I was a project manager, and then eventually grew up to a project exec and a partner. And in 2008 became our president of the company. So we grew 2008 was a great year to take over, right when the recession was hitting.
Yeah.
But we grew from about 40 million that year to when I retired in 2021 to about 125 million. So we had some good
Amazing.
growth. One of the things that I saw the last few years, particularly in my run, I also was very involved in the Sheet Metal Contractors Association, and I was the national president from 19 to 21 as well of that association. And I was talking to many contractors. And what I found out was everybody was worried about where they were going to get the trades folks because they expected the next 5 to 10 years, 40+% of our trades folks were retiring. The average age of the people in our trades was in their 40s and later 40s. And the key to construction is to find the tradespeople that are experienced enough. So at that point, we were in the Bay Area, and I said to my partners during COVID, it was 2020, we talked about this during the summer. I said, we should run a summer camp and teach the East Palo Alto kids that are in our backyard that are underserved and they could really use some direction. We should teach them about the trades, and we should have a summer camp and show them what they can do. And I mentioned it on a virtual conference because everything at that point was virtual in 2020. And my friend up in Seattle, Rick Hermanson, asked if he could run one too. So the two of us teamed together with our two companies, and we decided to call it Heavy Metal Summer Experience. Just thought it was a fun name with the heavy metal side. And we kind of designed the summer camp, and we figured out what we needed and permission slips and graduation certificates and how we were going to do the camp. So those camps that first year in 2021 were so successful. We had 2 camps and 28 kids. And I tell the story about what kind of hooked me from there on out was there was a mom at the graduation of the Hermanson camp, and she came up and said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "I'm a housekeeper. My husband's a framer, and our daughter was in a really dark place her last semester of senior year. She didn't know what she wanted to do, but she knew she didn't want to go to college." And the mom started crying. She said, "I kind of lost my daughter. She wasn't who I knew." But she said, now 6 weeks later, I have my daughter back and she knows what she wants to do. And that kind of hooked me. And so if you can save one kid out of every camp that you run, it's well worth doing. And so that young lady actually will be turning out as a journey person. So she got into the apprenticeship about 8 months later, and she'll be turning out as a journey person here this year coming up. So
Amazing.
I realized, I mean, we can change lives with this. So at that point, it went so well, we decided to write a playbook, and we decided we would incorporate into a nonprofit. I was retiring at the end of 2021, which gave me some extra bandwidth, I guess I'd say. And I was still traveling the country a bit with the SmackDown Association. And I started sharing the vision. And the Heavy Metal Summer Experience has grown every year by 50%, 60%. I mean, we're entering 2026, and so it's only been 5 years. And this summer, we're going to have approximately 68 locations across the United States and Canada and almost 1,200 kids.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how long is the camp?
So kids, typically it's 30 to 40 hours is what we recommend a contractor. We rely on finding hosts. We work with the unions, the union mechanical, union piping, sheet metal, and electrical contractors or training centers. And we really encourage them we give them a playbook, we give them some samples and formulas, but we let them run the camp how they want to run it, as long as they understand that hands-on is really important. We learned early on that kids love fire and so soldering and welding are really important because the kids really want to know that. But you need to talk safety. When the camp starts, Heavy Metal Summer, we supply a set of boots to every kid that starts a camp. And we have some amazing partners like Milwaukee Tools and DeWalt who give us tool bags for the kids to take home when they graduate. So this summer we are asked Milwaukee and DeWalt each to give us 600 tool bags so we could give 1,200 tool bags out. So we support the camp hosts, and so we look for additional hosts.
Okay. And how do you attract the kids? How do they find out about it?
Well, the hosts do their recruiting locally, but we help them with that. We typically have them go to the career tech education portion of the high schools. But some of them we also team with the nonprofits in the area that also work with kids. Like I know my very first camp, we teamed with a nonprofit in East Palo Alto, and they really helped. They found the kids for us. But really, the high schools, I think the high schools are starting to realize maybe they shouldn't have pulled all the shops out of their high schools. And so this is an opportunity for them to get some of their kids into and see an experience like this. And I kind of have this dream that maybe we should have a camp for counselors, for high school counselors too, so they could see how great it is and what opportunity it is. So, or at least invite those counselors to come to graduation. So,
Wow, that sounds so exciting. So you were running a company of the president, and now you've started this nonprofit. I mean, what leadership skills were transferable, or what are the things that you're doing now that you did in the corporate world?
Oh, a lot was transferable. I think part of the difference, one of the differences is Western Allied Mechanical was an established company. I think we started in like 1963, so about the time I was born. So I did not start that company, but I did run it. And by the time I retired, we had 350 people. So I learned a lot. The other thing is, as a mechanical engineer, the business side was an adventure a little bit because we really didn't have business classes. But I married an MBA, and and he
There
was
you
a
go.
controller in hotels. So every night I'd bring my financials home, and we would go over it and over it and over it. And eventually, I figured most of it out. So a lot of that was transferable. I mean, like right now, I am super comfortable with the nonprofit in the financial side. I love. I mean, I understand the finances. I can set up a budget. Part of that, I'm a numbers person because I'm an engineer. Some of the things that weren't as transferable is, I knew how to make money for a for-profit company. I knew what you needed to do. A nonprofit, you have to ask for money, and that's a whole nother adventure. So there was a learning curve for me on the fundraising and grant writing and asking side. But luckily in our area I know I have a lot of connections in the construction industry, and a lot of our companies are stepping up. I mean, it's like, for example, Train, which is the air conditioning company that
Mhm.
provides units. So they every year they've been a sponsor at 25,000 every year.
Oh my
And I
God.
mean, many of our companies Train, there's Procore, which, well, unless you're in construction, you don't know what that is. But we have a lot of large companies, Stratus, that have stepped up and are doing regular donations. And that came from me asking. But I think now they probably avoid me at functions because they know I'm going to come ask them for money. So that is
So,
definitely different. So,
yeah, was there any training to learn how to do that fundraising for all
well,
of those that
no.
are part of nonprofits?
No, but we have grown so fast, and as we've scaled up, myself and my part-time, so my executive assistant from Western, I retired about a year after me, and then 6 months later, we're having a glass of wine together, and I said to her, "Do you want a little side money? Do you feel like doing a little extra?" She said, "I think I'm ready now." So she came to work for me with heavy metal, and so she works 15 to 20 hours a week. But for the two of us, we're kind of drowning last summer because we had so many camps, and there was just a lot to do. I was working. And my husband had a good point. He said, "Angie, you're supposed to be retired." And I was working 50 hours a week probably. So
Wow.
part of that was we did get some great press, and we had an article in the Wall Street Journal in May, and then I got called and asked to be on CNN a couple times and on Fox News Live, and we even had a graduate on Good Morning America, which was awesome. So
Oh, how
we
exciting.
grew faster than we expected. So at that point, the board, we discussed this later last year, and we agreed that we need to hire an executive director. So the good part for me is the executive director, Ellen Young, we hired, has a great experience in fundraising and grant writing, and she's been in that space more than the construction space. So I
Perfect.
think I'm going to learn a lot from her.
Right.
Yeah.
And so did the growth really come from people getting that visibility on the networks and the interviews you were doing?
Well, that year, last year, we definitely got a lot of kids from that too, as well as I got a lot of supporters. We got financial supporters who just happened to
Right.
see it and would send in money, which was amazing because I was touched by that because these are individuals that don't even know us. The
Mhm.
growth really came from a little bit of my connections in the industry and the fact that as soon as a company runs the camp, they didn't realize how much it helped the company too. So it's such an experience as an employer. You run this camp and your employees volunteer, but our next generation of employees want to get back and they love this camp. And so the employers realize that, oh my gosh, this is a great company building thing to do this. And the union folks that are teaching the kids are proud of what they did for their career, all their career in the union. And they love seeing these kids be interested in that. So I think where the growth is all of a sudden now people running camps are telling other companies about it. The associations are giving me opportunities to get up on stage and talk some more. And we were at regular conventions with booths and talking to people. So I think the word's gotten out. And as the word's gotten out, people realize that this is actually a simple idea of how we can recruit high schoolers, but nobody really they all claimed they didn't have the time or the bandwidth to do it. And that's what we say to them. Listen, get some skin in the game. We'll give you a playbook. We'll hold your hand the first year. We'll give you a liaison. We'll walk you through it. And then after the first year, it's pretty easy because you know what you're doing. So I think that growth just has kind of happened more organically. I mean, we are on social media a lot and we don't pay for any boosts or anything on social media, but we have a lot of followers. So that works really well.
So is it mainly union shops, or do you also have merit shops that are signing up
We
for this?
we are helped funded by the union. So a big
Okay.
part of our sponsorship and support is from the sheet metal union and the sheet metal association as well as the mechanical association. So we are focused on union and
Okay.
we're sticking with that partially because I think ideally kids can get I mean one, it gives them a guaranteed earn while you learn. Earn while you learn. So they basically start their apprenticeship and they're getting paid to work and then they're learning too. So there is no cost to them. It's not like going to trade school where you have to pay for trade school.
Right. And what are some of the aha moments these kids are having at camp?
Oh. interesting to the confidence it builds in them when they start making their own projects and they're able to see that they can do this. The surveys from the parents are really incredible. Like the parents will talk about, I've never had my kid go anywhere that they want to tell me everything every night about what happened at
Wow.
camp and
That's
how their confidence level changed by the end of the week.
mhm.
I think those are some of the aha moments that you see the light in their eyes as they start to figure out, I can do this. I mean, many kids don't even know how to use a tape measure when they start the camp. So we haven't done our kids a good service, I would think, overall, because we've really taken away, in high school shops, and we probably
Mhm.
taken, arts, music, and things like that. So it's time for us to figure out maybe we need to get some of that back in our high schools.
Right. And do you keep in contact with the alumni, the kids that have graduated?
We are trying, and particularly the ones that actually take jobs with contractors. I
Mhm.
actually right now just have reached out to a handful of our camps to say, hey, we have the career in the trades week coming up in April, and our media folks would like to do some interviews with existing alumni. So I reached out a lot of camps, and they have a bunch of great names of kids that are alumni that are working at contractors. So they're going to interview them, and we'll see if we can get some good stories. That's the same group that helped me last year get that article in the Wall Street Journal. So, but yeah.
So you've led, in two different areas and really have grown both tremendously, exploded. So what's the secret sauce, or what's the key to building a thriving company?
Good question. For me at Western Allied, I really focused on culture and our people that were within Western Allied. It was really about the people that really sold the work we got. Sometimes they say you need to have great, salespeople, but we really, our field were our salespeople. I mean, they did such good work. Our project managers were our salespeople because they took care of people. We really had a great culture while I was there, and I think we focused on that. We also focused on being. I mean, for me, and everybody learned that pretty quickly from me. You need to be honest, straightforward, be transparent with your clients. If you have a piece of equipment that is now delayed and it's not going to get there on time, you got to tell them up front and get them a warning, figure out how to work on solve it for as a team. And also if a problem on a job happens and it's our fault, step up and take ownership of it. And so that for Western Allied, that's where it worked. And then for heavy metal, I think it's just our mission is so easy to sell because, and I'm so passionate about it, as my co-founder Rick Hermanson is. You get one of us on talking to anybody, and it pulls out because of some of the stories we've seen with the kids. So I think it's a great mission, and we're trying hard to do good work, and I think that's easy to sell. So.
Right. And it is such a great mission because kids don't realize that the trades are such a great option for that career,
Right.
right?
Right. And I'm on the dean's advisory board at Cal Poly, where I was a mechanical engineer. And he was telling us that about a third of kids that graduate high school nowadays go to four-year colleges. So there's two-thirds of the kids that are not going to four-year colleges. So what are we doing with those two-thirds kids? And that's a lot of
Mhm.
kids. So
Right.
we need to show them I mean, and I wouldn't call this a less of an opportunity. It's an
No.
alternate opportunity. I mean, so I also tell the story about how I had been Cal Poly for 5 years because I played softball, so I had an extra year there.
Okay.
1 year at another company, and then I got to Western Allied. So I'm 7 years out of high school, and I'm running a project with my piping foreman. And my piping foreman he had the same age as I was, 7 years out of high school, and he was buying a house in the Bay Area because he had lived at home for 5 years, or maybe 6 years, and now he was buying a house the seventh year out of high school. And I'm like, I
Wow.
was owing my folks for college, and there was no way I was buying anything. So I was really impressed in that. He was doing really well. I had a lot of our pipe fitters and our sheet metal workers. They were like similar ages as I am. They've retired and they own property, like three or four properties. I mean, they've done well for themselves.
Exactly. So this
Yeah.
is a secret we want to get out, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because
Because
this
we
is
need
a
it in the
great
future.
option.
Yes, it's a great option. And for those that, a little bit of either AAHD, but kids that want to move around a lot or, that they need something physical, it's the trades is great. I mean, honestly, there's a lot. I mean, if you're a kid that's high performing on the spectrum, the trades is a great also because there are a lot of things that you can do that really focus and we need focus on. I mean, we have a welder in our shop that is on the high level of the autism, and he's one of the best welders we have because his focus to detail is amazing. So.
Well, and as a business coach, I see it as a great learn the trade, and then you can run your own business too, right? So you can have business ownership. And
You nailed it there. In SMACNA, the Sheet Metal Contract Association, about 60% of the business owners came through the trades. So,
right.
I mean, it's you can do anything you want to do. It gets you a solid background. And boy, even if you decide, you want to go after 5 years or 6 years in the trades, you want to go and be a project manager, it also gives you an opportunity to fix anything in your own house. And that's a benefit. Have you tried to find a plumber lately? I mean, it's hard.
Right.
So.
So, Angie, we should wrap up, but do you have any last advice for somebody that may want to start a nonprofit or a leader that is in the trades?
Well, I will say one thing. For those that maybe this is not quite what you asked, but if you're thinking of retiring, I don't think I call it retiring. I think you just start your next chapter. And
Man.
I would say that giving back is a really rewarding, and this has been fun for me. I'm excited to see where it's gone. So I think that's something that when you realize what you gained in your first 2/3 of your life, where you've gained a lot of information and you've been blessed to get that. Try to give some of that back, and I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job with that. So I
Yeah,
think that's
thank you.
important, and I just would say that focus on being a good person and trying to set up a company with good people, because I think that's the number one thing is people need to take care of each other, and if they have a good place to work, that it becomes a really good company.
Yeah, and I think just lead with your passion, right?
Yep.
Because then it
Yep.
makes it fun and it's not really work.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Very much so. So,
thank you so much for being on the show today, Angie.
well, I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate you letting me share the story about heavy metal summer experience.
Awesome. Thank you.